Wake up! You're asleep at the wheel! I'm Josh Wheel, and this is the first in a four-part series of videos called What If the X-Men Movies Were Good? Now, this is not my own take of what I want to see in X-Men movies or which characters I would have used or how I think it should have been. Or this is just going back and imagining that in 2009, 2010, when Fox decided to reboot the X-Men with 2011's X-Men First Class, right? To say that, hey, what if, they looked at what Marvel was doing, because Marvel already had Iron Man out, Marvel already had Iron Man 2 out, they'd introduced half of the Avengers, they had Thor in production, they had Captain America in production, they had everything lined up and going. You saw what they were building. Fox wanted to do the same thing. They wanted to go back and build something. So they said, all right, we're going to start at the beginning. Great idea. And we're going to use the original classic X-Men, Darwin and Banshee and Mystique and Havoc and Angel. No, not that Angel. The angry girl from Grant Morrison's run. And they made a pretty good movie, right? This isn't to say that they didn't make a bad movie, but they did not set themselves up to tell the stories they wanted to in the future, right? By making a single good movie, they left themselves with characters that they didn't really know what to even do with afterwards. So they just unceremoniously killed most of them off in between the first and second film. Right, now they wanted to tell these great Claremontian stories. They wanted to tell Dark Phoenix, and they wanted to tell Days of Future Past, and they even wanted to introduce Apocalypse, which was from the Claremontian era, although really introduced by Louis Simonson. They wanted to do these things, but here's the problem: they were developing Wolverine-centric films. Yeah, they were developing Xavier-centric films, but all of those stories are Summer-centric stories. Right? So you want to tell Dark Phoenix Saga, you're going to need Jean Grey. You're going to need Cyclops. You want to tell Days of Future Past, right? You want to tell Apocalypse. Apocalypse is a totally summer-centric character. How do you tell the story of Apocalypse without having Cyclops and Jean Grey, without having Cable, without having, this guy, Warren Worthington III, Angel, right? There's 3 out of your 505 X-Men right there. If they had been in place during the first film, then you have them to use to tell later stories. And that was the type of short-sightedness they didn't have. Now, they tried getting on it after this. They hired Mark Millar, and he was going to oversee this whole line and integrate Fantastic Four and X-Men and this stuff, and then he didn't do anything. Bryan Singer came along and started changing some things, and he's like, we're going to jump right into Days of Future Past, and we're going to unite the new cast and the old, because people miss the old cast. They haven't seen them in, 18 months or something. Actually, Patrick Stewart was still playing Xavier in future films. It really wasn't necessary yet. No, but this series, these 4 videos, are going to be about what if we just took the actors that were available, the people that they were using, the stories they wanted to tell. We're going to tell the same 4 movies, right? We're going to go X-Men First Class, we're going to go Days of Future Past, we're going to go Apocalypse, and we're going to go Dark Phoenix Saga. Now, not necessarily in that order, because we're going to try to actually do, and this is a crazy thing, I know, a wild bananas idea, but we're going to actually adapt comics as if they were, a literary property that could be transferred to film, instead of just something that you can steal the title of and then just make a nonsense film with a pretty poster. So we're going to actually adapt them, and that means we've got to put them in the right order. So the new order is going to be the Claremontian order of First Class, Dark Phoenix Saga, Days of Future Past, and then we'll finish and build to Apocalypse. Apocalypse will be our Thanos-sized villain that we build and work our way up to. Crazy, right? Just a little bit of planning, just a little bit of forethought makes this possible. Okay? Now, everyone wants to tell Claremontian stories, but here's the thing. You can't tell Claremontian stories without seeding along the way, right? You can't just say, I'm going to make Dark Phoenix, and I'm going to introduce all of these things. I'm going to have all the recruiting of the mutants, and I'm going to have a new mutants, and we're going to have the Hellfire Club, and the Shi'ar are going to come out of nowhere, and we're going to have the Phoenix that Genis has possessed. You got to do these things along the way. You got to, you're going to start seeding that the Hellfire Club are there. You've got to have introduced the Shi'ar already. You have to have Jean already having the Phoenix before she turns into Dark Phoenix. And so you can't do that with the first film, and you can't do that with characters that aren't already there. But if we know what we're doing ahead of time, going A, B, C, D, we can start planning backwards and say, in order to get here in this film, I need to introduce this. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to say is, again, X-Men First Class, not a bad film. There are a lot of really good things that we're just going to keep the same. In fact, this of the four will have the fewest changes. Right? We're going to change the 05 cast. But aside from that, we're going to keep a lot of the main story beats and just add a couple little things that we need in order to seed and set up for future films. You know, and I know that some of you are saying, like, well, this was a good movie already. And it is, but also, you know, think about the Avengers, right? The Avengers films, you have your 6 core Avengers characters. You got Cap, Thor, Iron Man, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and Hulk. Over the course of those 6 films, all of those characters went through some changes. All of those characters dealt with loss. All of those characters grew and were in a different place at the end. Right? How much of that did these X-Men characters do? Did any of them go through where they developed, given depth, backgrounds, kind of stories like Cyclops when he came in film 3 and then to film 4? Did any of that happen for him? Was he given a background of like, okay, so Havoc introduced him and then was unceremoniously killed off, and Cyclops didn't really care too much or something? It was, right, like, not like Hawkeye's family that we loved and cried when they all got dusted. Like, we were like, no! So, yeah, like, we didn't really do much with these characters. So we're going to set them up and we're going to do it the right way. All right, so now we're starting here. Here are our main beats for X-Men First Class. All right, now we're going to keep the best part of the film, which is the bromance between Xavier and Magneto. Michael Fassbender's Magneto. Okay? This is the core of our film. This is what we're going to rely on. Okay? What if X-Men First Class was good? Well, there were a lot of really good things about it. And these two guys, first and foremost, are it. Okay? Now, we're going to start the film the same way. We're going to have the background. Now, we're not going to use Mystique, because Mystique we don't need in an 05 film. But we're going to start the film the same way. We're going to have the same actors that were cast. You know, McAvoy as Xavier, Fassbender as Magneto. Works great. We're going to have, you know, we can use the Auschwitz background. We can even have him hunting Sebastian Shaw. Because you know what? Having a Hellfire Club villain is great if we want Dark Phoenix to be our second film. We want to get there, and we establish the Hellfire Club early. It works awesome. Okay? Now, Jennifer Lawrence was a huge win for this film, right? Having Jennifer Lawrence was awesome. Why did she have to be Mystique? We're telling a story about the 05 X-Men. You have this hot young actress who's perfect. Why not make her Jean Grey? So we're going to keep her in the cast, and she is our new Jean Grey. Easy peasy. Now, we actually do have one of the 05 X-Men in this. We have Beast, played by Nicholas Hoult. No problem with this. Okay. Now, the next lead here was Lucas Till as Havoc. Now, Lucas Till was actually really good casting as Havoc. Like, that worked really good. But we don't need Havoc in an 05 story. And in fact, this pretty face here of Lucas Till's is tell me that he is not the perfect angel. Why is he not just flying around shirtless all the time, being the sexy lamb sugar daddy of the X-Men like he was in the comics? Okay? We want to get to Apocalypse. We want to get through these other stories. We need to have Angel present. We have this beautiful, pretty, tall, muscular blonde boy who looks just like Warren Worthington III. And, oh yeah, our story requires one of our X-Men to be able to fly in order to satisfy the conclusion at the end of the big fight. Angel. Yeah. Now we're 3 there. And in fact, we haven't even recasted anyone yet, and we've got 3 of our 05. Now, next up, super important, is going to be Cyclops. Ty Sheridan is too young. He did a great job in the last film. But looking through other actors of that age coming up, right? Similar kind of talents, film range as Jennifer Lawrence, Lucas Till, Nicholas Hoult, right? Guys born in the same year or two. Turns out we have this boy here, Taron Egerton, who went on to do some good things, likes making superhero movies, even worked with Matthew Vaughn. And guess what? He's going to be our Cyclops. Because watch this, right? Put him in a little X-Men suit, he looks good, and then Shazam, he's Cyclops. Perfect. Okay, that leaves us one person left. Okay, one of the 05. Now, again, looking through ages, years people were born, I just chose a little Sprouse boy, right? Makes a nice little Bobby. Got some plans for him moving forward. Fit him in here. And we have our 05 X-Men. Fully cast, right? Cheaper than Zoe Kravitz, right? You know, moderately problematic. I mean, we could use her. You could have her kind of turn to Shaw's bad guy thing. Hopefully, we don't have a creepy scene with two grown men in a bed in a strip club. Why does a strip club have a bed? I don't need to know. You know, making sexual suggestions about like a menage a trois with a teenage Lenny Kravitz's daughter. Like, that was kind of weird and unnecessary. But, you know, we can do other things. Okay? So we've got our cast. Now we're going to move through a lot of the same story beats. We're going to start establishing this friendship. We're going to establish the core of them seeking out mutants, fighting for mutants. Okay? They are the shepherds of Homo Superior. Okay? And they find themselves aligned in this cause. Okay? They need to stop Shaw, and they want to save mutants. Two things they have in common. They're Omega level mutants. They're incredibly powerful. They're brothers. They're going to do this together. All of that from First Class, perfect. Okay. Now, instead of having them drive around and look for like Darwin and a stripper and things like that, they're going to seek out our 05. And along the way, you know, we can still have that great little Wolverine cameo, the fuck off cameo. And along the way, they're also going to find the Morlocks. Right? They're going to discover the Morlocks in the underground tunnel because we're going to need them for later on down the line. Again, Claremontian seeding. And the Morlocks are going to be like, you know what? Like, we're good. We don't want you. We don't need you. You surface scum. Like, we're going to stay here. And Magneto vows that he'll always be there to protect them, and they move on. But we've added them. We've enriched our world with the Morlocks. Okay? We move forward, right? We have power training. They come together as a team. Okay? Now, we're going to need to get into space at some point. Okay? There's a couple different ways we can do this, right? We can have Magneto buying weapons from like a rogue Shi'ar dealer. We can have them have to go up and stop an asteroid that the US government can't stop yet, right? Basically, we're going to take all of our Cuban Missile Crisis stuff that we don't need. We're going to have this set somewhere around the late 70s, early 80s. Okay? We're going to take all of our Cuban Missile Crisis story that we don't need, and we're going to replace it with something that allows us to introduce the Shi'ar. Okay? We need to introduce the Shi'ar so we get our sweet little Xavier thing. We need to be able to upgrade our technology for the Danger Room. Right? Get Beast a hold of all of this stuff. But most importantly, Jean needs to absorb the Phoenix. We got to get Jean in contact with the Phoenix, and we got to get the Shi'ar in place because we can't tell Dark Phoenix at number 2 unless we planted these seeds. It's not essential for our first film. Okay? But the training, the tools, the weapons, the things they get from Shi'ar are going to be what's essential to put them over the top and allow them to finally stop Sebastian Shaw. So we have our big finale. We have the fight with Sebastian Shaw in the Hellfire Club. Magneto can still kill Shaw. In fact, that's too great a moment. Magneto kills Shaw. It's what drives a wedge between them. Xavier wants him to live. Magneto's like, no, you don't get to. He puts the bullet in him. He takes the helmet. All of that is perfect. We've driven our wedge. We've also done something else. We've created a vacancy, a vacuum for leadership atop the Hellfire Club. Now, this was something that was alluded to at the end of First Class, Magneto taking over the Hellfire Club, Emma Frost being there. Also, we're not going to do the whole January Jones, Emma Frost thing, okay? I know that in 2011, 2010, when she was cast, she was getting nominated for Emmys for Mad Men because we thought her performance as this kind of like vacant, immature, like infantile woman child was like incredibly deep acting, and then we found out that that was the extent of her range and all she was capable of producing, and that is not Emma Frost. So January Jones, no. But we are going to have an Emma Frost here in the background. We're going to have an Emma Frost there, and she's going to be she's going to make sure, she's going to be what turns on Shaw. She's going to be what allows Magneto to make the kill, and she's going to rise up and become the White Queen as a result of it, because we need her in place for future stories. Okay? So we've got our Emma Frost moving in at the end of this film. We've got Magneto and Emma Frost moving into leadership in the Hellfire Club. We have a divide between them, although still some love and loyalty as mutants. We have our 05 team in place. Right? Jean has the Phoenix. We've met the Shi'ar. And they're going to start going out and trying to recruit the second class. Okay? We've kept all of our great story beats from X-Men First Class. We've kept all the things that we like about it, all the performances, most of the actors. And now we've finished in a place that allows us to move directly in to our second film, The Dark Phoenix Saga, which will be in part 2 coming soon. Hope you enjoyed this video. Keep coming back because there's going to be more. Share this video, like it, subscribe, do all of those great YouTube things that you can. Okay? But this is it for today. What if X-Men First Class was good? If you like this video, tell your friends, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it on Instagram, share it on all those things. Okay? And come back, keep an eye out for part 2. What if the Dark Phoenix Saga was good? Coming soon. Again, I'm Josh Wheel, www.asleepatthewheel.com. If you like this video, there's a whole series of these on the Star Wars prequels by Belated Media. Check those out as well. Okay? Otherwise, have a great week. Wake up, because you're asleep at the wheel.